How and when did Allo Darlin form?
Gosh, that's
well,
like a
it's
long,
quite
convoluted story.
It is a long, convoluted
Why don't you
story.
start and I'll see if I can fill in the gaps.
Well, basically, Mike and I, who is the drummer in Allo Darlin, have both played in bands together for a long time. And we both had a mutual friend who worked with Elizabeth in a post-production studio. So that's how he hooked up with Elizabeth, and then...
And when I moved to London, I lived on her floor for about 2 weeks because she was living with my sister. So that's how I got to meet her. So it's one of those things, although we both come from Australia, we took coming to London before we got to meet.
Yeah, it kind of started when Elizabeth, she kind of dismantled the first kind of lineup of what was originally called the Darlings, and was doing a lot of solo stuff. And she got asked to do a Springsteen cover for a compilation, Springsteen, like indie compilation record. So I'd just gone through a bit of the Springsteen phase and just seen him live for the first time, and she was aware of that. So I started playing stuff with her because of that, really, and then everyone else just kind of followed, and we kind of assembled the band for a gig.
That was it. It was like,
and then
there's a show coming up and we need a band. Can you guys be the band? And we're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, that sounds like fun actually.
And then all of a sudden we were in Berlin, and that was the sort of start.
That was,
really,
yeah.
That's when everyone realised it was a thing.
It was a band that was happening.
Yeah.
What does music mean to you, and what makes you make music?
Wow, that's kind of nebulous.
I think you kind of forget why you start doing it in a funny kind of way, because it just becomes so second nature, like kind of
Why wouldn't
breathing
you?
air. Like
Yeah.
you don't really tend to think about it that much. But
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I mean, for me, it was like I learnt classical piano since I was quite young, and it was always kind of something that I studied, and it was enjoyable, but it was always kind of a hobby sort of thing. And then when I was 15, I kind of discovered bands and guitars, and it's all exciting, and learned how to solo, and then I never looked back.
That's, yeah. I don't know about what is music, but music is music. It's kind of one of those things that everybody, except for occasionally you meet someone that says, I don't really care about music. It's strange, isn't it? I always find those people a little bit creepy.
Without music, life would be flat.
Oh shit. It would be flat. It's very sharp.
I stole that off someone else.
Oh, did you?
I quite like it, yeah.
What was the first album you ever owned and loved? Both of you.
Ooh, the first one that really connected with me, I think. I mean, not just playing guitar, but like actual wanting to be in a band and write songs was probably the Bends, I think. When I was, it was probably about 15 when that came out, and that was like, all of a sudden, like all the other instruments opened out, and the whole kind of song thing opened out for me, and then that was the record for me.
I have a very similar experience. I bought a cassette of To the Extreme by Vanilla Ice in the Fremantle markets when I was quite young. I really felt that I'd found myself. It's true. No, sorry, actually it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack.
I had that.
Yeah, it was good,
It's great,
right? It's
isn't it?
fucking brilliant.
That's one of the first things I ever owned
Yeah.
on vinyl, actually. Yeah.
It was the first CD I ever owned.
The first vinyl I actually ever owned was Do the Barman. It was a 12-inch single.
First vinyl I ever owned was Craig McLaughlin, Check 1 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he big enough?
Yeah, he had to be. It was like, it's written into his contract on Neighbours.
Another quite big question, I guess. What do you think makes a good song or great song?
I actually think that a really awesome bass line is the difference between a good song and a great song. And I've actually said that quite a few times, because when I started kind of dabbling in a bit of bass, and kind of like really got into the Beach Boys and things like that, I kind of realised actually like you know the difference between just playing root notes and actually doing something really melodic and like stuff that McCartney does as well. I think that really helps to kind of at least harmonically lift a song. But then I guess it's kind of like a kind of riff that won't get out of your head for days, or like just lyrics that just blow you away. The first time you hear a lyric and you just it kind of knocks you sideways.
Yeah, I don't think there's any specific thing that makes something a great song.
No.
I think if you love a song, then it's great for you. But I love songs that some people hate. And I don't think that there's any rules there. Obviously, there's no rules. Otherwise, there'd be
everyone would like
just
the same
like
stuff.
this formula that you go, okay, let's make the good song, and then we'll have like 4 bad songs on the record, but we'll make sure we have more good than bad. But definitely a good bass line is very important.
Yeah, I think it just lifts it.
I really like guitars on songs.
Your self-titled album came out last summer. What's been the reaction to it so far?
It's been really good.
Yeah, it's really exceeded our expectations. By leaps and bounds, which is to say that more than the people in our immediate families and friends have heard it. So that's great. I do remember when we were making it, thinking that I thought it was great. I was really enjoying it.
It was really good fun to make, and it was just a really free kind of. It wasn't like when you're in the studio and everything's sort of very regimented and precious. Like it was really like a lot of it was quite throwaway sometimes, and then it just ended up being the thing that ended up on the record, and a lot of it was kind of built as we kind of recorded it as well. A lot of the songs were kind of written as we did it, so it kind of. You kind of get that kind of momentum. But it's been amazing, and Six Music have been really great with us as well. Like they've been really behind a lot of the singles.
In terms of reception, it was.
And and it's crazy just to think that we released 4 singles off it as well.
Yeah, Jesus.
And then there's probably a couple of others that were contenders as well that didn't.
Well, I think we had to start asking to stop putting out singles at some stage. Sean, who runs our record label, Fortuna Pop, is this super wonderful guy, and he just kept on. So you know what we should do next is this one as a single. We'd be like, Sean, 4 is enough. It's only 11 on the record. Is it 10 on the record?
10 on the record.
10 on the record. I think you gotta have. You can't have 50% of the songs be singles. You can have them all sound like they should be singles, but you can't have them all as singles.
But I think that's good. I think that's kind of why it's been perhaps so
surprisingly well received.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
long did it take to come together, the album?
We recorded it kind of over a summer, didn't we?
That was it, wasn't it? It was kind of we were doing it, and by the time summer was done, the record was finished, and at least it had been recorded. There was sort of all the other stuff that happens afterwards, the mastering and the mixing and all the arguing about track listings and cover art and stuff. But the actual recording was just this really great summer that we had. Summer of 2009 was a really good one.
It was, yeah.
Really, really good one.
Cool. So you're playing here tonight at Lexington. It's the last date of your UK part of the tour.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? about the show?
Pretty good.
Yeah, really good. It's a sold out show, so it's going to be a good crowd.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's nice to finish it off in London, and we haven't played in London since November.
No, we did that December show, but yeah, we haven't had our own show in London since November, and actually that feels like a really long time. Because we did so many shows last year. So it's good I love playing at the Lexington.
It's kind of the venue that's most kind of like our local, I suppose.
Yeah,
I think the Lexington.
Because it's also the venue I come to most when I'm not playing in a band here. There's the great Sunday club called the Hangover Lounge, which is really, really cool. And I actually wish there was more stuff like that here. I'm sure there is, but I just don't know about it. But
What's been your best show to date?
Oh Jesus! Well,
there's been a lot of memorable ones for different reasons, but the best one, I thought Indie Tracks was amazing.
Yeah.
When we played in the Indie Tracks Festival
last year.
In May. Was it in May? End of May?
No, I think it was in July. Yeah. One of those. Indie Tracks was my favourite big show that we've done.
Yeah.
My favourite little show was probably one of the New Jersey basement shows. We played these when we went to America. We played a couple of shows that are literally just in the basement of houses in a place called New Brunswick, where there's just this wonderful little scene that somehow, through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, we got, we asked someone to help us book a show while we were there, and they said, oh, well, you can come and play this basement. And every time, because we went back to the States after the first one, and we said, we've got to do another one of those, because it's just so much fun, and it's so sweaty. And
the first one we did, well, they were both good, but the first one was great.
First one's
I think it was the first time we're doing it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Cool. What have you got lined up after this, shows-wise?
In about a week, we go to Europe for a big tour. Yeah, the big part. Going all over the shop. So that's for about 5.5, 6 weeks, and then we're going to come back and hopefully we'll be recording a new album in April. We will be recording a new album in April. And then we're going to go back to America for another
4 weeks or so.
4 or 5 weeks, and after that, I think we're going to have a bit of a line down before doing it all again.
Yeah, unless something else gets booked.
Yeah.
Have you already written songs for the new album, or is it just going to be a...
It's in development at the moment, so we're kind of... Elizabeth's got a lot of songs that we don't even really know how to play yet, and some of them we've been doing live, just on stage and learning them in front of an audience, which is kind of how Allo Darlin practice.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a fairly good way of...
Yeah, and people are really, I think, people do get quite excited, I think, about new stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as we play something new, like some...
It's exciting for us too.